Hello everyone and welcome. In this video we'll be reviewing the popular drama horror television series, The Last of Us. The series is based off the video game of the same name. The game was produced by Naughty Dog and produced by Sony Interactive as a PS4 exclusive. The game was directed under Matthew Gallant and Sean Escaig. I do hope I'm pronouncing his name right. The game was written by Neil Druckmann. To be clear, the game was under the development of a bunch of people I care not to list right now. If you're interested, then I recommend opening up Wikipedia. Anyways, you're probably wondering why I'm talking so much about the game and not so much the show. I promise I will get into the show. However, you must understand that the show only exists because of the game, and its entire source material is based off said game. I had played the first game, if you could even call it that, and I've been aware of the second one coming out, though I won't buy it or play it. Off the bat, you can probably get the idea that I do not like the game or the television series. That's not entirely true, so I'll just get right into it. I know it may not be the most popular opinion since The Last of Us is the flavor of the month, but boy do I think the game and show are overrated entirely. The game is full of way too many cutscenes and is a very slow gameplay. When you talk about zombies, I expect zombies and action, not talking and slow paces. That is the case with a lot of zombie shows. I guess they simply can't get the formula right in Hollywood. People want action and zombies in a zombie show and not useless, tired dialogue that goes nowhere. The same thing happened with The Walking Dead. It was a great show at first, but soon after it became boring as hell. I remember seeing graphs out there that outlined the tremendous drop in viewership after only a few seasons. Overall, that is my biggest gripe with The Last of Us. It's just a very slow-paced, overrated game with needless character connections, and it's just a bore. All that and more can be said about the show. There are some good things, but let's do the bad first and then end with the good. The show is slow, like the game, full of boring dialogue, like the game, is full of pointless character connections, like the game, and is overrated, like the game. I say all this because, unlike many other television and film adaptations of video games, the series producers have worked hard to stay close as possible to the game. It's good, we're getting that for a change. The bad news is it's for The Last of Us and not some better game. They had so much potential for Uncharted, but screwed that up so bad. Uncharted is an amazing game with a great concept and tons of potential, but Sony screwed that up horribly. My gosh, they screwed that up terribly. Anyways, here we are with The Last of Us, and well, it's boring. It doesn't suck entirely, but it is boring. I watched all episodes so far and will likely stop watching after some time. The editing is okay, the cinematography is okay, the writing is boring, the directing is okay, the makeup and special effects are great. I don't know how much of that comes into play with editing and special effects, but the actual makeup people who make up the zombies, whatever they do is really awesome. I appreciated that in The Walking Dead and in other zombie television shows or movie. Whatever they do, keep up the good work. You do really good at making people look messed up and morphed up and zombified, whatever. That stuff is always pretty good in zombie shows. The music is also good. The musical score is very nice. And well, overall though, the show and game just suck. Not to mention, there's a whole lot of LGBT representation in the show that is forced and propagandized. Keep in mind, I am a Christian Catholic and stick firmly to my belief. Now, overall, there is nothing wrong with having LGBT representation when it makes sense and is somewhat inclusive. For example, in the popular Netflix series Wednesday, we have a character that is important to the main character as a best friend. Very important. They even work together and talk throughout the series. And that character has two moms as a lesbian couple who raise him. It's quite relaxed, reasonable, and not all in your face. It kind of glides smoothly over and is inclusive. Unfortunately, in The Last of Us, that is not the case. LGBT representation is rampant and forced on you. For example, in the game, there are two male characters that are only very slightly hinted at having a homosexual relationship, only hinting at via writing and that being the maximum. It is not expressed in any way in the video game at all. Yet with the television series, the producers decided to make an entire episode, yes, an entire episode about their relationship, added with physical intimacy and all. It was gross and very off-putting to a straight male such as myself. I want to include that I say that without any regret or apology, since any apology that is offered is quickly ignored and labeled with nasty titles. There is no reason to apologize for your opinions, as that does go both ways. You guys get it? Anyways, I personally think the overrepresentation of members of the LGBT community in media is not out of the goodness of TV media executives, but purely out of pandering, virtue signaling, and propaganda. For instance, I want you guys to take a minute to think to yourselves and really take a second to stop thinking with your emotions and think with the God-given brain in your head. Use your IQ, no matter how close to room temperature it may be. The only reason people make media, who are top executives and who have millions and billions of dollars, the only reason they make media, there's two main reasons. One is to make money. Yes, people do things to make money in this capitalistic system we all enjoy. That's the one reason, the main reason they make media. So since they make media and movies and television series and all that in order to make money, what makes you think that they would be making any form of media just for the purpose of pandering to a group of people who only represent 1% of the Earth's population? Now, I know that figure probably has gone up given the fact that the media has a propaganda incentive to do so. They probably lie and say that the members of the LGBT community now probably make up closer to 10% or even more of the global population, when that's simply not the case and falls much more closer to around 1 or 2% at the maximum. So you have to ask yourself the very logical question. I know it's very hard for you guys to use your brain, but use your brain. Just try. Close your eyes and, scrounge your face and just use your brain to think to yourself, why would a company, why would anyone pour millions, tens of millions, perhaps hundreds of millions? Yes, films can get that expensive and forms of media can get that expensive. Why would someone risk their entire financial bag? Why would they do that in order to pander to someone to sell tickets to a population group that only encompasses 1% of the globe? It simply does not make sense. There are two reasons they make movies. One, to make money, and to propagandize. By pandering to this group of people, guess what? They're not making money. There are plenty of examples of films that are only LGBT based that have lost the studio tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. They lose money when they do this. And so the only other logical option that's left, process of elimination, is that they make this type of media for propaganda purposes. The second reason is to propagandize upon the public. That is a well-known fact. If you don't know it, I feel very sorry for you. You are what Bill Cooper would call a sheep. A sheeple is what he would coin the phrase as, a sheeple. Now, you might be wondering, well, is there evidence to this? Yes. Simply Google it. Simply look up that the CIA and the FBI have been paying studios and executives to say what they want them to say. Not only that, but they have been actively working in the industry as well as submitting screenwriting and all that stuff to industries to propagandize onto the people. I'm not going to make the whole video about that. You simply have to use your IQ and your intelligence to go ahead and search that for yourself. Now, if you guys haven't seen it yet, the overrepresentation of LGBT in the media is a fast track to normalizing pedophilia. You guys are in for a great shock if you haven't seen it. Imagine your 5-year-old daughter who is now legally allowed to have a 30-year-old boyfriend and is enforced by the state. Give it 10 years, maybe less, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Not to mention, the main character of the entire series itself, Ellie, she's a young girl at the first and grows up in the second one, becomes a lesbian with a Jewish woman and raises a child with her lesbian lover in the second game. I'm not sure if it's with the same Jewish lesbian, but something we are likely to see in the television series. Again, nothing entirely wrong with that, but when it comes to the price of children, it does become a problem, and it is up to the sane members of the so-called LGBT, community to fight this pedophilia. I won't drone on this any longer, as it is a subject for another video and another day. But you get the idea, and if you don't, then simply do your own research instead of raging, seething, or coping, or whatever the hell Gen Z or millennials say. Now, the series was produced by HBO and is currently airing. Finishing up with the positives of the show include the musical scoring and special effects or makeup department in the show. Other than that, I didn't really enjoy the show too much. I very much enjoyed the acting and casting. I think the casting of Pedro Pascal as Joe was done very well. I think he's a very talented actor. I can't wait to see more of him in the future. I hope he doesn't become pushed on us, but he does really good work. I gotta say, I had no issue with Joel being changed. I know people focus on very trivial things like race and things like that when it comes to casting characters, when I don't have too much of a problem with that so long as it's not dramatic. For instance, if you're going to cast Superman as black, why not just create a whole new superhero who's black and has an awesome personality and identity that makes them awesome? But going back to the show, I don't mind. He did a really good job as Joel. He's continuing to do a good job. I know he's not in the show in the second part of the video game series and may not be later on in the television series, but as he is right now, He does a really good job. I very much enjoy him. I liked him in Game of Thrones. His character was interesting. He knows how to act. He's really going to keep going forward, and I do appreciate that. Secondarily, Bella Ramsey as Ellie, pretty good choice. They could have done a little bit better in finding an actress that more resembled Ellie in the video game, but to me that doesn't really matter. You see, in this industry you have two things. You have the acting, and you have the looks. There is a bit of a sacrifice that comes with both. It's very rare in these instances that we have an actor, an actress, whatever, who fits both the looks and the acting. You may have an actress that looks just like the character, but is a terrible actress who has no idea what to say, how to mark her cues, and in my opinion, that ruins a show and any viewing experience. Secondarily, you have a chick, in this instance, who has very good acting skills, like Bella Ramsey. She's a very talented actress and works very well, yet doesn't look entirely like Ellie. It only slightly resembles her. For the most part, that's okay with me. I had no issue with that. I know a lot of people did, but for the most part, personally, I think she did a very good job. Again, I also enjoyed her in Game of Thrones. She was a very talented actress and enjoyed viewing her acting experience there. I think her character was a young queen or prince of an island. I thought was very hilarious, very smart, very cute, and she just did a very good job that way. Acted very tough, which is something she's doing in this show. I know I'm looking to focus on the positives, and I'm just going to do a little bit of a critique here, and it's not on her in any way. It's more of the writing. Perhaps it is her because she may or may not improvise any of the lines that Ellie does say. For instance, her character is a bit sharp and very mean and a little bit vulgar, which is something I understand in a post-apocalyptic world where she's not really held by hand by a parent or guardian mentor who tells her not to curse and not to say bad things. I understand that. But in a television series, she's a bit mean. She's a bit quick. She's a bit sharp. She's rude. And that's something you don't really see in the video game. In the video game, she's funny. She's sweet. And learning about the world around her and growing in a way that's very nice. It seems a lot more natural than it does in a television show. She doesn't swear as much as she does. I think in the first episode, she's probably swore more than Ellie in the first 30 minutes of the whole game, which is not too much of a problem, but I did notice that there is a difference in personality in the game. I think maybe that might be something people are commenting about. But other than that, the music, the acting, the special effects and makeup are really good in this show. I can't wait to see more of that. I hope the show does move on in a positive manner. I don't really think so because the game is very boring. It's very annoying. It's propaganda. It's very boring. That's just one thing I'll have to critique over and over and over. It's very, very boring. You're playing a video game to have fun, to escape from the world, and I know a lot of people in the comments are saying, well, you don't know art. This isn't a video game. It's an experience. Yo, homie, good for you, bro. Good for you to sit down after a nice day where you don't do manual labor, where you're doing something stupid, and you want to play a video game where it's an experience and not having fun blasting stuff up. That may be a very superficial and unprofessional opinion of mine, but for the most part, I think video games are supposed to be fun. I really didn't like the idea of them having it so that the video game was more of a television or story media, yet they turned it into a video game. Everyone who's intelligent, who played the game, and anyone who knows anything about film or media appropriation knows that this game should have been made into a television series. And now that it is a television series, you still get more of the same of what the game was. It was boring, long, drawn out. That's my overall opinion. I'm not going to draw it any longer. I do appreciate you guys listening. You guys are the best. I love this fan base. I really appreciate the loyal people I do have here watching my stuff. Please feel free to comment your agreements or disagreements. Comment things you'd like me to see in the future and review. I'd like to see new stuff. Foreign stuff is always on the table, but not personally. I don't actively look for foreign things. But if you find something that's amazing, I have seen foreign films and television series, games even, music or whatever, that I would be interested in seeing if you comment them. Again, please don't forget to like the video if you did, subscribe for more content, and you guys are the best. I'll be seeing you later. Take care. God bless.